It is still unbelievable, and this is one time I hope our reporting is wrong, that President Uhuru Kenyatta said during radio interviews yesterday that people in his government are stealing 2 billion shillings daily. 2 billion. That's how many zeros? If we can just turn to the screen. Yes, that's 9 zeros. But forget these zeros and let us look at what this money can do to solve the ongoing nurses' strike in the country, for example. I spoke to the Secretary General of the National Union of Nurses, Seth Panyako, earlier just to try and understand what it would take for the 30,000 nurses from public hospitals that he represents to get back to work. Well, he says if the government agrees to increase the risk allowance for the nurses to 15,000 shillings, they would be back to treating ailing Kenyans. That's what's standing in the way of them getting back to work. Now, in a month, that would be about 13.5 billion shillings, and in a year, roughly 162 billion shillings. Using the staggering 2 billion shillings lost in a day from President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, that would make it 730 billion shillings in a year, which is a third of the country's budget. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would pay the nurses risk allowance for 4 years and some months, given what they are currently asking for within their rights. That's just one thing that 2 billion shillings that is lost in a day can do for the nation. That's the only Kikuyu I know, and I hope I've used it appropriately.
And famine continues to ravage the country, with 2.5 million Kenyans now facing starvation. Special Programs Ministry says it urgently needs 7.3 billion shillings to provide food supply to vulnerable families across 23 counties. Here now is Elfas Lagat with the details.
The drought in the country is now turning into a crisis, with the number of those facing starvation doubling from 1.2 million in September to 2.5 million. 8 counties of Turkana, Garissa, Isiolo, Lamu, Tana River, Wajir, Marsabit and Mandera being the worst hit, with a further 12 counties on the brink of sliding from alert to alarming level.
We still continue to see animals that have died in arid and some arid counties.
To adequately respond to this crisis and provide food and safety needs to the food insecure population, the government is appealing to donor partners to help in attending to the national disaster.
The development partners have agreed to support the Kenya government's effort to mobilize resources and address the gaps in the drought response and resilience building in arid and semi-arid lands.
Priority areas to cover include delivery of food, health and nutrition, water tracking, and livestock offtake program. To speed up response to the vulnerable population, the government is considering use of cash transfers in place of relief food supply.
During the meeting today, the United States government confirmed an additional allocation of $34 million, which means that we're almost at 50% of what we need.
The cash transfer program will see 369,000 households and more than 730,000 vulnerable individuals receive cash every 2 months.